what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel, Twitch channel here. I'm Reina Creole, and I am here, of course, with my co-host for Toxic Male Appreciation. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing wonderful, Lorena. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's still extremely hot here in Florida, but I'm hoping the weather's going to change within the next maybe month or so to get like a little bit cooler. But other than that, you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying here. I'm enjoying being outside and just enjoying it. Got a long weekend coming up, right?
Yes, a long weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. This is going to be fun. The weather here in New York is absolutely perfect, Lorena. I'm so excited. Lorena, I am loving your blonde ambition.
Well, thank you.
I want to live in a material world, and I'm a material girl, Lorena. I am loving it.
That has to be one of my favorite videos from the 80s, Material Girl, where Madonna's basically recreating that scene from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I love that part. I love that part. So I am very happy back to being blonde again. I missed it. So thank you. I'm so enjoying it.
So beautiful. You look wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. You always look good with these like bright pops of colored tops. Really?
Oh, I heard thunder. I heard thunder.
Thunder, and it's sunny outside. Like part of the street, it looks like biblical proportions of rain are coming, and the other side of the street, it's like, no, sunny outside. Nothing's going on. I'm just like, oh, weather here is just Florida just has weird ass weather in general, Oh, but I am so excited about our show. This is almost, I want to say, maybe the second or no, maybe third show that actually it involves Indian cinema, and it's been an interesting conversation with this because we'll get a lot of folks from India who are just like, so the West considers traditional male traits to be toxic. And I'm like, slight correction. The Hollywood progressives out there seem to think that, which goes against what a lot of people in this country tune into, because we have films like Top Gun Maverick, which is very positive depiction of masculinity, but she's making a ton of money. Again, RRR, word of mouth going around for that. That's why people are so drawn to it. So one of the things we love about doing this show is celebrating those traditional male traits that, certain progressives in Hollywood want to call toxic and call it a bad thing. But we're like, nah. We do. We love it, and we're calling it a good thing. And in our episode today, what we're talking about is two actors from a movie that is coming up that we have been talking about so much on this show, and that would be, of course, BRAHMASTRA. I know it looks kind of tiny up here, but yes, BRAHMASTRA Part 1, Shiva. Now, one of the reasons why we are so excited about this film is we are actually going to be able to see this in theaters in the Yes. Now I know I missed when RRR came out in theaters. If it did, it showed up and boop, it was, it was gone. It, was nowhere. I think it came back for one night, didn't pay attention. This one, it's still not the publicity machine that Disney usually does. Have you seen any advertisement for this film where you live at all?
I haven't seen a single thing. Every time I turn on Disney, every time I go to watch She-Hulk, I don't see anything advertised about coming to theater soon or anything like that. I don't see
Mhm.
anything advertised. I guess it could be advertised on Amazon. It could be, like for the new movies coming out. I haven't
Mhm.
seen anything there, and I haven't seen a single commercial or like it could be something so quick. It could be like BRAHMASTRA, Shiva, no, BRAHMASTRA, like, and that could be the the whole advertisement. Like, it could be something like even a 5-second blurb. I've been to the movies and I haven't seen an advertisement about it either. So I haven't seen anything, Lorena. Absolutely nothing.
Which is an absolute shame. But I'm excited that I can actually pull this up in Fandango and see showtimes literally in Orlando that you can go and check out this particular movie. And this is a big deal, considering I think this is probably the first Indian movie with the release this wide that I've heard of. Again, they are not heavily promoting this. Like, say, I'll even say like the new Dragon Ball movie. I knew about that.
Right.
I knew about that. I knew about the Studio Ghibli movie that was coming out. Even when Demon Slayer was in theaters, I knew about that movie coming out predominantly from word of mouth. But like all films like this, we're very interested in who the leading men are when it comes to this film. So we've seen them in the trailer. We've talked about, the actual the characters, but we haven't talked much about who these guys are. So we're actually going to talk about them. And one, I believe, Ranbir Kapoor, I hope I said that right, and Amitabh Bachchan, I believe. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I'm so sorry. But yeah, these two guys, because I believe when we saw the trailer, you saw those two together, and I know you were talking about a particular scene with the two of them that was very poignant for you. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, as many of you have been watching us, and we've been talking about Brahmastra, part one coming out, and it does
Hmm.
deal with the main character whose name is Shiva, played by Ranbir Kapoor, and his this discovery that he has these special powers. And of course, with this special powers comes, responsibility and someone to
Hmm.
guide him. And so there's a scene where you do actually see Ranbir Kapoor alongside Bachchan, who is sort of his guide, his mentor. And as soon as I saw Bachchan's face, I recognized him because, Lorena, I'm not an expert in Indian cinema, but I've kind of like been looking online and looking
Right.
at different pages, and his face is kind of like when they say Indian cinema, his face pops up. Like he's sort of the one of the most important individuals in Indian cinema. And what's very interesting about him is that at the age, I think he's probably in his 70s now.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even in his 70s, they consider him, the greatest in for Indian cinema, the greatest actor of the century, star of the millennium. These are all words that other people used to describe him. And he's appeared in over 200 films over a 5-decade period.
Wow.
Yeah, just think
That
about that level of proliferation in the movie business, Lorena. It must be a record, right?
I would I would think so. I mean, I'm trying to think of a US actor that has been in that many movies. I know there are a couple of British actors who have been in that many movies, but I cannot think off the top of my head how many American actors have been in that many films.
And it's incredible, Lorraine. We have seen a lot of incredible films like RRR, where even in a high action film of that type, there's singing and there's romance in the film. And wow, that I like that thunder, Lorraine. It is calling our names, right?
I know. It's just like, we really like God to stop bowling. Really, just can you a little bit?
Well, it's very interesting, Lorraine, because you and I were actually talking about this. When you think about movies, and a lot of these Indian films have singing in their films, and through the
Mhm.
years, the hundreds and thousands of films that have been made in India, sometimes the main actor's voice isn't quite what they think it should be, so they have somebody called a playback singer. It's essentially someone
Mhm.
whose voice is dubbed in, and Hollywood in the West has been doing this for years. Like, they've done so.
Right.
And so he not only has starred in over 200 films, but he's also a famous playback singer, which means that his voice is probably even in many more films. I'm just amazed at his level of talent. And even at the age of 79, being as a guide, he still looks incredible. What is it? These men look incredible. They're incredibly masculine. They're beautiful features, beautiful skin tones. They're very, very, like, I'm not even going to say they're incredibly fit, but they also have certain level of grace to them. These guys are, I would say, almost perfect. And I can see why, making films and having, these particular two actors on screen
Mhm.
certainly makes this film very, very special.
Yeah, it really does. To see the both of them together, it's almost like a handoff from one generation of Bollywood to the next. Without, I mean, I did not know who Ranbir Kapoor was. Amitabh Bachchan, I knew his face, but
Yes.
not his name, but enough from his face to know that I've seen him in some things before.
We are conjuring up the
Yes,
anger.
this is Florida afternoon weather, which is why I'm just like, yeah, uh-huh. Weird weather down here. But yeah, just you can tell just by looking at them, just kind of like that juxtaposition. Let me see if actually I can find that photo. Just that juxtaposition between old and new, which I love the picture. I'm trying to see if I can find it because it was a really, really, like, for example, we'll look at this picture, this photo like right here, where you see it's kind of like, this is what the years have done to me. And she was just like, I'm still trying to figure out what the heck this is. But it's just I love seeing scenes, seeing scenes like this.
Yeah, and I think that it also shows that they do value older actors, because
Mm,
so many of the films we've seen, Lorena, there are a lot of older people in them. And I kind of like that. And it adds a little bit more credibility to the film, because, unless it is just for young adults and it's just that crowd, most of these complicated, complex storylines involve multiple generations.
absolutely, they do. And some of the biggest films out there are multi-generational. For example, Harry Potter, that's multi-generational, from, from those who are teaching at Hogwarts to the youngest students. There's that age range. Also, the same thing that happened, in Star Wars. You have the juxtaposition between Luke, who is a complete and utter novice, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who has seen some things for, over many decades. That contrast between student and teacher, and generational contrast, and it gives you, or at least it attempts to give you, to learn a type of respect for the older generation, and the patience towards the younger generation. So this is really good to see. And even more importantly, again, seeing it between two generations of men. and not depicting it as if there's something wrong with this or you're passing down toxic masculine traits. It's just no, it's not what we're doing here.
Yeah, that is so important, and I think that it is even more enjoyable to see the different generations of men together. As
Hmm.
you said, Lorena, it certainly does add a lot of excitement, I think, in a film. For a number of reasons, because this young character Shiva in the film, he needs a lot of support. He needs a lot of guidance. He has no idea, pretty much, what's in store for him, and honestly, I don't know all the details of the story. There's a chance that, he might live longer. There are all these little elements to something that has this level of mysticism to it.
Hmm.
So, there's a possibility that the character he's playing, that Bachchan is playing, might be, a couple hundred years old. We don't know. We don't know how old these characters are, or have
Hmm.
potential to get. So this is something else that I've thought about, and maybe that's why he has that look of, I've seen centuries. Like you can see him, I've seen centuries pass by,
Yes.
and Shiva's like, okay, so what do I do next? Because I got this girl I really like, and I just want to go out on a date with her. Is that
Yeah. And this power thing is really inconvenient, right? Right now. But one of the lessons that we're looking forward to him learning is that this isn't a trifle. This isn't a token. You've been given a gift, and there's a responsibility for that gift. So it's like we're looking forward to him uh, being taught how to use that. So let's see. Do we want to start with Amitabh, or do we want to start with Ranbir Kapoor
Let's start
first?
with Kapoor first, because
Okay.
I think it's very exciting. I think he is someone who, at the age of 40, clearly is about, he's an incredibly popular star. And, I think they said he was on, Forbes India's Celebrity 100 list. And,
Ooh,
clearly he's incredibly attractive man who,
very.
glows on the screen. He has a wonderful presence about him. But he also has a little innocence, that boyish innocence look on his face, that makes this role a little bit more believable, since he's just finding out about these powers. He's just finding out about what this responsibility is going to be. So Lorena says that he is he 39? He's not even 40? What?
Yeah, I don't think he's 40. I think he's a year shy of 40,
Okay, wow.
and comes from an acting family.
Yes, wow.
And
Okay.
not just I want to say not just one, or two. Like we featured some families like Clint and Scott Eastwood, like Denzel and John David Washington. That seems to be like one or two generations, like Alexander Skarsgård and Stellan Skarsgård. But I almost want to say it's like a posse of Bollywood actors that are all all related. So he's like the nephew of actors Ranbir Kapoor, a bunch of these, grandnephew of actor Shashi Kapoor, and he belongs to the fourth generation of highly prestigious and considered to be the first family of Bollywood.
Wow. 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 That's incredible.
That is one of the things that I didn't know about the Hindu film industry, and I'm glad they like spelled this out because we're kind of still learning about it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize just how much of how many families that the actors come from, because here in the States, and I think this is probably why the South Indian movies like RRR and the KGF are so popular. Here in Hollywood, we'll say here, like in the U.S., there aren't that many acting dynasties, so to speak, acting families, so to speak. The story usually is, someone who came, we'll say, off the bus from out of nowhere, makes it big, in Hollywood. And it's just someone who their talent was spotted and boom, they're acting. Like, for example, Nicolas Cage did not want anyone to know that Francis Ford Coppola was his uncle,
Right.
because he wanted, soon as you hear the Coppola name, you know exactly what they're talking about. So he wanted to make it on his own. But for it seems like for the Hindi film industry and Bollywood, a lot of it is actors are nephews, grandsons, granddaughters. It seems like it's I almost want to call it like a casting agency, so to speak, that you pull from for these Bollywood movies. So I thought that was interesting because someone had brought it up in the chat of one of our streams that was indeed the case. So that's a very interesting dynamic there.
It is very interesting being born into sort of like, Indian cinema royalty, so to speak. And, perhaps there was some level of expectation that he might
Mhm.
become an actor. But I think it is very interesting having that level, or at least that history in your own family, knowing very well that, that is your history. And if you continue the legacy, wow, look at that. All the names listed, Lorena, that have that. It says he shares his name with his grandfather, the legendary Raj
Raj
Kapoor.
Kapoor. Okay, well we are going to look up Raj Kapoor because
Mhm.
we do this on this show. We like to do the deep dive and find out what's going on. So this is Raj Kapoor.
Yes, and he looks like like a star. I mean, clearly, this man is clearly very famous in Indian cinema.
He
And
really is. Wow.
look at that shot. I mean, certainly very well known. He probably has made quite a few films. I'm sure to probably say something about that. But wow, looking at just even the list and seeing, him being a star, that's a lot to live up to.
Right. Look at these old school movie posters.
Those were brilliant. I mean, they took so much care and thought into what needed to be in the poster. The looks on the faces, and this was at a time when a person who designed these posters, it was so important. There was no internet, there was nothing. Sometimes you couldn't always get a magazine. You might see something on TV, but that poster hanging up somewhere you would see, and oftentimes it would entice you to want to go see the film. Like that one that says Sangam, that looks pretty cool. I see a woman and I see two guys. So like, what's going on there?
I know, it's like what's happening? What's happening here?
I see that it looks like the Taj Mahal even in that one. And then the Eiffel Tower. I mean,
Yeah, over here to the left and then over here to the right. Yeah, you have the Eiffel Tower, you have the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
sign me up, Lorena. Sign me up
Wow.
for it. Let's go see that one.
Sangam. We have to
Certainly,
check
they
that one
said
out.
that he has one performance called Aurora, which was ranked as one of the top 10 performances of all time in world cinema by Time magazine. So, I'm assuming that the performance includes singing, because they are known for having, just such beautiful performances in their singing. It says that he was inspired by Charlie Chaplin and played actors based on the tramp in films such as Aurora and Shri 420. He is
Hmm.
known as the Charlie Chaplin of Indian cinema.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that is very, very interesting. I'm trying not to get claimed here. For some reason, it does not stop the trailer. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. I think it froze
Yeah,
finally. Okay.
it's low. It
Maybe.
wants to do what it wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna. I said so. I'm gonna pop up this picture because I look at it and I think
Oh,
Charlie Chaplin.
yeah, that definitely looks like that. They say he's the greatest showman of Indian cinema. That's just so amazing. A tramp-like figure who, despite adversity, was still cheerful and honest. His movies were popular in large parts of South Central Southeast Asia and the former Soviet Union bloc, China, the Middle East, and Africa. His movies were global commercial successes.
Wow. Well, that is definitely a huge, huge legacy to live up to. So that has got to be, no pressure, really. You come from this family which is just an amazing, amazing acting. What a wonderful heritage to have that goes that, that goes that far back. And of course, he's married to Aaliyah Bhatt.
Yes, yes. Who is the co-star of the film, right, Lorena?
Absolutely,
Actress
absolutely.
who is just stunningly beautiful. There she is.
Yeah, she is. There's Aaliyah Bhatt.
It's incredibly romantic.
Absolutely. Oh, you guys really want to claim me, don't you? We're gonna go down. We're gonna go down here. Yeah. So here she is. This is Aaliyah. This is Aaliyah Bhatt. So
Oh, wow.
that's his wife.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Stunning. Just stunning.
Yeah. Just absolutely beautiful, 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 beautiful woman. Absolutely beautiful woman. I'm looking forward to seeing her performance as well in the film. Actually, she and Ranbir are expecting. Actually.
That is such wonderful news to hear. And they're going to continue the family line. And I'm guessing probably the acting line as well.
Hmm.
It's just so wonderful when you hear stories like this. And I don't remember the last time I heard of two Hollywood actors who were married and making films together like that. So except for maybe Tom Cruise did it once or twice. And perhaps Brad Pitt did it once or twice, but it's not so common. It's not as common, right, Lorena?
No, it's really not because I'm trying to think. There was someone else. It's going to hit me later on, but there's another one. I can't really think of it, but it's not a common thing
Right.
to have happen, to have like both husband and wife on screen. So let's see what else Ranbir has been in because hadn't heard of him before. Of course, you know, still new to Indian cinema, but would love to see what else that he has been in. So guess what? We're going to go here by these posters here. Let's see. Hmm. Let's look at this one because, okay, the mullet is what draws me in here. And
I love it.
apparently, this movie is available on Hulu. Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. Wow. And it says it's a biopic about the controversial life of actor Sanjay Dutt and his film career, jail sentence, and personal life. So it's a biopic on this famous actor. Very, very interesting. Certainly would be something that I'd want to see. So um, it's very interesting to see the types of films that they're making. And Lorraine, you and I have been noticing that quite a few of the films that they're making recently have they still keep to their traditional values, but
Hmm.
they are trying to kind of do a fusion style film, which we discussed obviously with Brahmastra, and trying to perhaps break into the superhero
Hmm.
realm. But we're also seeing more things like this, these biopics where if it almost if it was dubbed in English, could perhaps seem like a Western film in some cases. So I think that they're capable of not just creating cinema that appeals or is somewhat more traditional in an Indian from an Indian point of view, but
Hmm.
also I think they do have the ability to make other films. And we talked about the limitations that they might have in
Hmm.
regards to being able to fund something like this. So it is very interesting to see what they can pretty much do. And I think it's the sky's the limit. So seeing these films, seeing that they have the ability to do so much,
Hmm.
it is kind of an exciting time to see this. And we're also seeing more Indian films available to us through Netflix and other streaming services.
Exactly. Streaming has done such a service to foreign cinema and TV. Because I know for me, it started with the movie Extraction. I had never heard of this film. All I knew is that Chris Hemsworth was in it. That's all I flipping cared about. And then watched it, and it was just like this lower budget film has me hooked more than anything that I'd ever seen, in Hollywood. And the cool thing with the streaming is you can go from one to another to another to another and get all of these great things that are being recommended. And I know between you and I and a lot of other people in our fellowship, it's not uncommon to say, watch this K-drama, or there's this Indian movie you need to watch, or there's this anime that's over here. And we'll just go and find it and just, and just watch it, because the stories are so compelling on a human level. And then you have the cultural element, which lets us know, hey, this is something we can't really get anywhere else. We can't get here. So that's what makes it, so interesting. It used to be that European foreign cinema was like that. And it's like, and now it's not. People are like looking, towards the east now.
Yeah, this is a good point. And honestly, I think the reason why we've been seeing this level of creativity in the East is because they haven't had to place limitations on what they want to make. And so the other day when you and I were talking about the idea of, let's say the West trying to, press them to focus on specific things in their movie productions,
Right.
it was just unfortunate to even hear that, to mess with something that is already run so perfectly. But we are going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Seeing something like this, seeing films like this, it does show that they have these abilities. And, honestly, I think they could probably even create a new, film art form, if you will, if they came up with it. I think that they're that talented, and they know what it would take to do something like BRAHMASTRA. Certainly, that's just, they just scratching the surface on what they can do. So, when we were talking about finding out that Disney is kind of involved with this film because they know how special it is, I wonder how far Disney will go if this does become a commercial success. Will we see more advertisements about it, let's say in September? And will we see more advertisements for BRAHMASTRA 2 and 3?
That's very interesting, because when I'm on Twitter, and actually I started putting the hashtag Brahmastra in, now all of a sudden, you will get this little, like the Brahmastra, the symbol, like you'll actually get that show up now. But I just happen to type that out and find it. It's nothing that I've seen promoted. It's nothing that, that I've seen trailers premiere, on YouTube, ads run, because you know how ads run for movies, especially Hulu, which I'm really surprised, because Hulu, since that's partly owned by Disney, I don't see why that's not getting flooded with advertisement. So it's just a shame that, well, no, I'm not going to say I don't think it's a shame. I think it's a concerted effort, because all of this is too coincidental. Because with the word of mouth, and it cannot be understated, the word of mouth about RRR. For example, we know who Critical Drinker is, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Critical Drinker put out a tweet yesterday that basically said, I thought that RRR was just overhyped and it was just going to be some stupid, action movie. He was like, holy crap.
Really?
He said, I could not, I'm paraphrasing. He was just like, basically, this movie hit on all thrusters, and basically he hadn't been that entertained in a long time. He's like, man, my expectations were completely subverted. He couldn't keep talking about it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's great. I'm glad he liked it. It's an incredible film, Raina. Of course, you and I have reviewed it here on your channel, on your YouTube channel. And that it blew our minds away. I mean,
Totally.
I'm still a little, like, wow, from what I saw in RRR. And it was just amazing. And as I mentioned to you, some of the things I thought people would criticize would be things that we knew, were perhaps not attainable. For example, the poster where they're holding each other's arms. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if that's impossible. I don't care if it's impossible. They put so much effort into making such a beautiful story. Would I criticize two men holding each other's arms to save a child from dying in a fire? No. Yes, it can happen. It can happen. It's true.
Exactly. It's just like, it totally can happen. And we give that kind of license when the story is good. It's
Yes.
like if you give us a great story, you know, uh, for the same reason why I love watching Godzilla. I don't care how cheesy the effects are. I love the story. So when Godzilla goes sideways, that's why it's a meme, because we just flip and love it, because the story is the most important. That's why with movies like this, especially movies that are coming out from other countries, and especially movies coming from India, we get that entertainment that we didn't get before. We get to see men apologetically be men, and are like reminded that, you know what, that's what our industry used to be like.
Yes, absolutely. We There used to be quite a variety of films that had, different levels of
Hmm.
complexity, and filmmakers were proud. They would say, this is. Some would say, this is a deep introspective, and others would say, no, it's supposed to be a farce. You're supposed to laugh at this. Don't take any of it seriously. I mean,
Hmm.
the excitement for the directors, and you and I were talking about this especially when Tom Cruise came out with Maverick this year, the excitement that he had for the film, we're not seeing a lot of excitement like that because films like that aren't coming out. There isn't that excitement because people aren't believing, or at least have that emotion connected with some of these productions that we
Hmm.
would hope they would, but it's just not there. So seeing that excitement, and we saw that excitement when we watched Brahmastra. Was it called The Beginning, and then Brahmastra, the
Division, all
Division?
that.
We could see the excitement there. This is why, and I was talking to you about the idea. I said, gee, I wonder if they're going to have like a red carpet premiere somewhere in the US. That would be so cool, or something like that, because we could see how passionate they are about this film. And I think that, this actor is one of the producers of the film, Lorena, um, on Brahmastra. So, it really is something that I think they're dedicated to doing. If we can just see, I don't remember where I saw.
Did you say producer?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I do know.
Yes.
Is it production? Let's look at all casting. We'll look at all cast and crew here. Produced by,
Yeah, there
this
he is.
guy seems
Ranbir,
familiar.
Ranbir, he's like the fifth or sixth guy down. Ranbir
There
Kapoor.
you go. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, this must have been such an amazing project to even star in, and to be a producer in it. When you're starring in a
Mm-hmm.
film, it's like you have to believe in this film.
You do, because you have to, because when you're a producer, you're putting up financing, for this particular film. So yeah, shows that he believes in it. Um, it's great to see, and again, also pulling from the fact that he comes from, I'll say, Bollywood royalty, so to speak.
Yes.
To see his name up there, like, oh, okay, we know who that is. Like, for example, I don't know who Stephen Birch is right off the bat, but I'm going to see who he is. Looks like is he connected to Disney? He might be, but he might be a U.S. Money person,
It says
like
visual
maybe with
effects
Fox.
producer.
Visual
Oh, was he
effects
down as a
producer.
producer, Lorena?
Yeah, he was listed as a producer.
Okay.
Like he was a line producer on Lego Friends. Yeah, visual effects, VSF effects, special effects. Wow. Space Jam, that's like a that's like a huge one. But I guess for him, I haven't heard of him before, but I've seen his work before. Obviously, it's some pretty big stuff.
Well, we certainly
Hold
aren't
up.
getting producers and directors and writers who don't have any credentials at all on this production.
Yeah, these people they seem legit, like they've been around, they've been around the block. Definitely more than more than once. So I'm trying to see. So that's a cast and crew. This is another cute one. Says "Wake Up, Sid." For some reason, it reminds me of Three Idiots,
Yeah.
which I haven't seen, y'all. I have it queued up. I haven't seen it, but I've heard Three Idiots is funny. But it's the lazy Mumbai college student thing. That
Oh,
seems to be
really?
another. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. I love it. Um,
yeah.
now I
So
believe.
this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I believe he started in a film that was one of the first films that was produced um, by. I don't even know if I can say this correctly. He was in a movie called Sararia,
Soria.
Sararia, and the film is 2007.
2007. Okay, let me go down here. Here we go.
And what made this film different? It was a Hindi language romance film,
Hmm.
and it was produced by Sony Pictures. And they said that it was the first Bollywood film to receive a North American release by a Hollywood studio.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes.
Two
Yeah.
souls arrive in a small town, one on vacation, the other to meet a lover. They spend the most magical, dreamlike days of their lives in that town with each other.
Yeah. That sounds good to
I'm
me.
not surprised you picked up on this.
Well, when I saw that it did star, or at least that Sony Pictures was involved,
Hmm.
that as far back as 2007, there seemed to be some interest in perhaps, bringing the market to Hollywood
Hmm.
in an attempt to, make some money. Essentially that's why Sony would be doing that. So
Right.
but I think it's interesting that, so this is 2022. Disney has firmly tied itself to Brahmastra. So, it's going to be affiliated with them. And I'm assuming after it's in the theater, Lorena, it's going to be on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, it will be on Disney Plus. I want to say if they put it on Disney Plus. I think it's like 60 days outside of the launch window, because I'm starting to think that it may not drop on Disney Plus. It may drop on Hulu.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
another possibility. But yeah, it's about 60 days, 60 days from theater release. Because there's a reason that I say that is because Bollywood movies are not pushed very heavily on Disney Plus. Now I do know, like, over in India there was Disney Hotstar, because they had to pair it with the Hotstar service. So they will more than likely definitely get it on Hotstar in 60 days. But it'll be interesting if this lands on Disney Plus or if it lands on Hulu. But I really oh, go ahead, my dear.
It will be interesting. And, what I think is also interesting about this timeline is that in 2007, it was right before we had like the housing crisis in 2008.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to go ahead and invest in, films from overseas at that point,
Mm-hmm.
because, money, there was a whole bunch of money issues in the country. So that possibly could affect growing and pulling in that particular area of the market. So now we have another kind of special time in the market where, I guess superhero fatigue or superhero,
Mm-hmm.
whatever anyone can define this by, say 10 or 20 years from now, whatever they will call it. This is a great time for them to make an appearance. I almost wonder why it didn't come out for Labor Day weekend, but there must have been a reason. Maybe it cost more to debut your film on Labor Day weekend. I don't know, but
Hmm.
the weekend after Labor Day weekend. So, and there's also a possibility that some studios may have said, no, 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 our film has to debut on Labor Day weekend. They might have bought that spot out ages ago.
That's true, because it's the last summer movie rush is going to be on Labor Day weekend.
Mhm.
So there may not have even been room, I guess, in the movie slate, so to speak, or the fact that they're probably just like, hey, there's other movies that we want to pay attention to, and then we'll drop this one after Labor Day, which again is a disservice in a way because Labor Day is like another big um movie going weekend, and you're not going to get another big one until around Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So
And Lorena, I'm sure you've seen the advertisements of people being able to go to the movies for $3 over the next week or so, uh,
mhm.
as well as I think Star Trek: The Motion Picture is going to be in the movie theaters over the next few days. They're pulling out films from almost 30 or 40 years ago. So,
Jaws is going to be out this weekend.
exactly. So, we're seeing blockbusters from years ago that are probably going to make some coin over the weekend because people will say, "Yeah, I didn't see that one in the theater. I'd love to see. I want to see Wrath of Khan in the theater, or whichever Star Trek film it is."
I would love to see Star Trek: The Wrath of the Racket Con. I mean, I liked Star Trek: The Motion Picture, but there was just something about the Wrath of Khan
Mhm.
that is it's still my favorite. It's still my favorite Star Trek movie.
Ricardo Montalban. That is
Yes,
it's his
Ricardo Montalban, and he's
low cut
talking
shirt and exposed chest.
all of that, talking about how he would chase him around the
Right.
booze and back before he gives him up. And I think that's when I think that was a paraphrase off of something from Moby Dick, actually. I
Yes.
think. I think I'd read that somewhere. They're like, yeah, he kind of paraphrased something from Moby Dick, like his obsession with Kirk is like his like Ahab's obsession with Moby Dick, just
Yes.
how how crazed
And
how
he got
crazy he
close.
was.
He almost pulled this damn thing off. So I think it would have been, I think it's one of the best, of course, it's one of the best films ever made, but it's a very unusual weekend to see this $3 films we haven't seen, that are old, that are huge
Hmm.
stars. To Maverick's still in the theater, right? I mean, this is a very unusual theater. I don't think we're going to see a year like this ever again. I think this is going to be one of those years where just all the rules have been broken and we get to see Indian cinema.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to like to see this, and so excited by how many people are just like, yes, we are so happy that Americans are are so interested in Indian cinema. Because one of the other things that I've noticed, and we're going to get to Amitabh here
Mhm.
a little bit, but I think it's an interesting thing to point out. Americans have always known about Bollywood films,
Yes.
but it hasn't really taken off here. Not with people saying you have to go see it in the theater. I've noticed with the likes of RRR and KGF, movies from Southeast, South India.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that Americans just seem to just like, holy crap, I cannot freaking get enough of that. So it's interesting the difference between Bollywood, which you have here, which is mostly I think it's Hindi language. Then you have Tollywood, which is RRR with Telugu language. Hopefully I said that right. And then you have the KGF, which is in the predominantly in the Canada language. So it's interesting seeing those types of niche, we'll say, movie industries in India, and how interesting that Bollywood we've known about, for the longest time, but it's what's going on in Tollywood and in Canada movies that have really grabbed uh, the interest of a lot of Americans here. But let's see, Amitabh Bachchan, born in 1942
Yes.
in British India, present day. Paragraj. I know where Uttar Pradesh is. I do know where that is. And let's see who he is. So apparently he's got a stage name a little bit. Not uncommon because actors tend to have a stage name. It's really tall. It's like 6'2".
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really
It's
I
very
love comedy.
impressive.
Yeah, it completely is. Totally is. And he's very educated, and he moved to Bombay to find work as a film star. And it's interesting that at that time they preferred an actor that was more fair skinned.
Yes. Yes, unfortunately, there was it's a discrimination. It is 100% discrimination. Telling him that he didn't have the look they felt he should have by saying he's not fair enough.
Hmm.
And so I'm sure that's how he became a playback singer, Lorena. He has a lovely voice.
Hmm.
And they said, gee, we really like your voice, though. Would you like a job as a voiceover? They call it playback there. And eventually he broke into films.
Wow.
And,
I'm all
pretty
making
much,
everyone dizzy here.
okay.
I'm sorry, God.
Yeah, no worries. Eventually he broke into films, and I think that's when they realized that he just had such incredible raw talent in his voice and in acting that it couldn't be denied. His look, he's, such an attractive man. So
Very distinguished looking. I gotta blow this picture. I gotta blow this picture up.
yeah, he's, he's like the most interesting man in the world, honestly, Lorena. That's what he looks like. He would approach you and, you could see him saying, when I'm not drinking such and such,
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking whatever, and you could say, oh, yes, of course, you have been everywhere, done everything, seen everything, all the important people, go to all the right places, all the passwords, he's it. So certainly, this man is very, very special.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that he seems to be, well, not seems to be, he is one of those Bollywood actors that was not born into a Bollywood acting dynasty
Yes.
and made his own way. So to me that's even more impressive, especially considering, as soon as he tries to break into the business to say, hey, you're not fair enough for us to use, he finds another way, around. And then as soon as opportunity presents itself, he's doing other things. They've been doing it for like the longest time.
Some of the
Gosh, look at all
posters that
this.
you pass by, Lorena, where he's kind of looking like that one that says Mobat Tien.
Hmm.
Look at him. He's an older man there. But boy, he really does kind of like command
Wow.
attention. I mean, he's got as big of a face on the poster as the young co-star. I think it's very interesting.
That is very cool. It's on Prime. Just wanted to let y'all know.
Oh wow, two
So
stubborn.
we kind of, yeah. So one of the cool things about the show was when we see where these movies are, how you can find them. Watch them Prime.
Absolutely. And Lorraine, years ago, we couldn't do that because they just weren't anywhere you could find them.
No, you would have to go to, let's see, you'd have to go to the specialty store or like order the DVDs off the like eBay, or maybe Amazon, might have it, or go to some specialty store that specialized in getting foreign cinema. Wasn't as easy as just going to Prime. Oh, I want to find Indian movies, or go to Netflix and it's like, oh well, if you like this movie, you like this indie movie, this indie movie, this indie movie.
And you'd also have to make sure that it has an English dub if you don't speak the languages, which would be, you already mentioned them,
Hmm.
Hindi, Kannada, Tamil. I can't remember the other ones, but
Telugu. I think those are the
mhm.
the top four.
And if you can't speak those languages, a lot of times it'll be dubbed, but the dubbing would be in the other three languages at the bottom. I'm sorry, not dubbed, but what is it called?
Subtitled.
Yes, thank you. The subtitles
Hmm.
are there, but it's not in English. So, it's, you're like, oh, I wish I knew what was going on.
Hmm.
So we're very lucky to kind of be alive at this time where we can see what's being said. But even his face, like he's commanding
Look
half
at
of the billboard.
this, is gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Film about the battle between love and fear between two stubborn men and their opposing beliefs, and the outcome of the love stories of three couples.
Mm.
Okay, this is gonna have to go on the list.
Well, it's got a 7 out of 10. So
Oh, okay, it's not
30,
bad.
it's like 30,000 reviews, right?
Nice.
I
Well,
mean,
folks,
yeah.
yeah, folks, you're gonna have to check that one out. There's just so much stuff that we have to watch. Look at all the stuff that he's got. He's gonna be in Krish 4. Okay, I gotta pop this up.
Yes. What
Okay.
is it, Lorena?
I am supposed to watch Krish. Now, if you remember from the last video that we did where we were talking about if BRAHMASTRA is going to out Marvel, and the article where they were talking about how Indian superhero movies haven't really taken off that well because it's either been the story is there, but the technology, the visual effects isn't enough to make it look like a superhero movie. They didn't have those two things. Well, when I first asked about Indian movies, somebody told me point blank, well, if you like Avengers style, then watch the movie Krish. So I'm like, oh, okay. So that's why we pulled it up last week.
Mhm.
Although someone did say in the comments of the chat during that video, said, do not watch the sequel to Krish because apparently it's bad, like Spider-Man 3 bad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, that bad, huh? I don't even acknowledge Spider-Man 3. They said, no, don't watch it. But this is going to be interesting. I did not know that they were doing a fourth one. So
Well, and guess who's in it?
yeah, he is. Amitabh Bachchan is in it, and also we know this dude.
Yes. Oh my God, he's so
We know this guy
he's so attractive.
from Jada Akbar.
Yes,
Holy
he's so beautiful.
crap! Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah, he played the lead actually in Jada Akbar.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yes.
Wow.
He is a one handsome man. I remember
Yeah, he's
watching that.
incredible
It's
looking.
hot looking. Okay, I cannot freaking wait for this. The fact that Hrithik is in it and Amitabh Bachchan is in it too. This movie could suck. I'd still go and watch it just
Mhm.
because I want to see those two guys. And again, I gotta watch
Me
the
too.
first one. I gotta watch the first one. That was a recommendation. And yeah, Krish 4. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that to find out about this distinguished actor, find out what
Mhm.
he's done
Yeah.
in the past, and then just looking at just all the stuff that he has going on. I mean, I know he has a long, illustrious career, but the thing you have to kind of realize is for some of us, we're just finding out who he is.
And he was in The Great Gatsby, the Baz Luhrmann one with Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
You're kidding.
He was. He had
Wait. When did that movie come out?
I think it's 2013. I don't remember what role he played, but there it is.
I watched this movie. Now, I actually read The Great Gatsby, and it's actually one of my favorite books. But holy, I did not know he was in this.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So I don't remember the role. There he is. Meyer Wolf.
Meyer Wolfsheim.
Yep. There he is.
Really?
Look at that.
He was right in front of my face the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this film was a big deal when it came out. You remember, Lorena?
I did, because I made it a point to watch this movie, because again, I would get some boring books to read in English class, but it was something about the way that F. Scott Gerald would write, and you got the decadence and the opulence of the Roaring Twenties, just with how he would describe things, how people lived. That was a book that I never got tired of reading. So I was very, very invested because there was one incarnation of the Great Gatsby. It was all right. It was, it was okay, but it wasn't this. This version of the Great Gatsby had all the vulgar excesses of the 1920s.
It was dazzling. It, of course, it had Leonardo DiCaprio in what I feel was his prime
Hmm.
as an actor. I can't remember the ladies who starred in it. She's actually won an Academy Award for a film she made last year, but she was also very good in the film. Her name escapes me now. I loved the opulence that you're referring to, Lorena. There was so much gold and glitter and excessive champagne pouring, and just anything was possible, and it's time to live it up. Just it felt like a never ending party.
Completely never ending party. And it just hit me that I read in the header that this is a Baz Luhrmann movie. I
Yes.
cannot believe I didn't make the connection.
Yeah, well, it is quite similar in feel to me as Moulin Rouge was, and of course, he recently came out with the Elvis biopic, which you and I reviewed with Cameron.
Hmm.
Certainly has the flavor of Baz. Honestly, if Baz, he's just incredible. I don't know. If there was like a universe with his name, that's the universe I want to live in. If that makes any sense at all.
Oh, it's coming to streaming.
Yes.
I
Yes.
cannot flipping
Yes.
wait.
I
Cannot
can't wait either. I think the lead actor, he's so talented. I think he's going to go far, and hopefully he'll do more artistic style movies, because I really do like that artistic flair. Um, look at the
He look.
I'm glad they took that
I
chance.
love how memeified that is. Actually,
It really is right at the point when memes were like exploding. He just seemed to look at that
look at
next to
this.
Tobey Maguire.
I really hope we get to see more more of Amitabh. I really do
Well,
hope that we
Lorraine,
do.
he was even in the roaring 20s. This man, he seems to be at places where you need a man who is very suave and sophisticated and handsome and
Very masculine, you know.
absolutely exactly the type of toxic male appreciation and masculinity that we love. This is the men that we admire and love to see on the screen. Look at how good he
Absolutely. Look at how dapper he is. He's just
was.
like, you can't tell me that, that
He's
I'm not
giving
a masculine man.
He's giving Toby and Leo a run for their money, because he's
Absolutely, isn't
all
he?
figured out.
It's like the other two, they kind of have to do more effort into it. He just has to be there.
That's
Amitabh just has to be there. So I hope those of you in Hollywood casting that are paying attention, you need to bring this man into more of our films. I mean, Ranbir Kapoor, yes, he's up and coming. He's definitely up and coming, and I'm looking forward to seeing him do more stuff. But you need to really bring Amitabh Bachchan, because check this out: Indian American family installs Amitabh Bachchan statue at New Jersey home. You know what? This is such a Jersey thing. I mean, this doesn't surprise me that this would happen. In New Jersey. Wow, check that out. Close
and
to 600 people had gathered outside the house to
wow.
watch and install.
It just happened, right, Lorena? August 29th. This just happened.
August 29th. Yeah, yeah, you found this article. Good find.
Well, thank you. And Lorena, when else are you going to see something as cool as this? I mean, he is sitting there in the flesh. I imagine that
Let's
every
see.
generation in this family has enjoyed his
Blow
films.
this up a little bit. This is, I mean, this is so quintessentially American immigrant in a way. You know, it's like bringing, you know, your heritage out for everybody else to find out about it, because you know people are going to be like, who is that? You know, who is it? Kind of like having that statue of Sylvester Stallone outside the art museum, you know, in Philly, except in this case it's outside of their house.
It's very decadent. It's an incredible tribute to someone who still has made a contribution to just film in general that is
Hmm.
unmatched, really. They're very proud. They're in their finest, garb out there, showing this statue, which is covered in a protective cover.
Look at this. I love this. I mean, I really do hope that they're putting it in the house.
They probably have a climate controlled thing in there. I got a little thing in it. I noticed there's like some kind of thing inside that.
Because I can't see this thing being outside and you know and it's snowing and ice and stuff to get stuck on it. But yeah, they're in Edison City, New Jersey, and it's in a sort of large glass box. And Gopi Seth, who is an internet security engineer, says he is nothing less than a god to me and my wife. So that's why he has the statue. So I really do. They put it outside, but I really do hope they bring that inside, because Jersey weather in the winter is going to be a hot mess. And that is way too nice of a statue to
And
have something happen to it.
they look like they have, let's say, an incredible home, and I'm sure in
Oh
their
gosh,
setup,
yes.
yeah, they have the perfect setup for this incredible tribute to
Mhm.
a more than well deserved artist.
Oh,
Um, it's so much fun to see stuff like this.
it sure is. This is probably going to be in the foyer. This when you walk in, and you know how some people will have like the statue of like the knight and the armor and everything. They're gonna have this dude in the foyer, and it's perfect. That would be the perfect setting for it. I bet you right inside these doors here where that light goes in, I bet you that's where they're gonna put it. And it's probably the best conversation piece ever.
It certainly is. It looks a lot like him. That they did such a great job. Whoever made that for them, they must have spent maybe a couple grand, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 on it.
Hmm.
It looks like him. It doesn't look like a statue. It looks like a person.
No, it looks like something out of Madame Tussauds wax museum.
Yes,
It looks
yes.
like they commissioned whoever it was who worked on those to create this. So this is awesome.
It really is. And this is the type of excitement, you and I have both familiar with all the collectors out there. You and I are both collectors. We
Hmm.
enjoy pop culture. And this is the type of excitement we like to see that movies and entertainers can spur in the fans and all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the first thing we're going to close this one out on something that's very interesting. What's a movie without a little controversy?
Hmm.
And it's interesting how this kind of got brought to my attention, because we were kind of talking about it with our video premiered, and some of our Indian viewers in the chat were like, "Are you aware of the boycott?" I'm like, "What? What boycott? You know,
Exactly.
what boycott?"
Yeah.
And
Like what?
yeah, I don't get it. And then I'm watching this. And it says there's a boycott trend that's become a fashion in Bollywood, or engrossed in the cancel culture of films. So apparently, a lot of this, kind of like Twitter, has to do with social media,
Hmm.
which is really interesting, because even Vikram Vedha, which that's another trailer we got to react to eventually. Thank you, Paulie, for yet again enabling us with more
Yeah.
Indian movies to watch. Drop that one, and I'm like,
Mhm.
crap. That means we're gonna we gotta say that with because there's so many things that we gotta watch. So
Yes.
it's like peer pressure. We gotta watch that one. So apparently, Vikram Vedha, that movie, I guess Pathan is another movie. So apparently you've got like this whole cancel culture thing that's going on.
Yes, and I did look at the article, and it seems like part of the problem, or at least the concern, it has to do with a picture
Mm-hmm.
that is interpreted as an insult to Hinduism. And there's the
Yeah.
picture there. That's the god Shiva, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
believe so.
I guess by putting the god on his face in that
Mm-hmm.
manner, it's considered disrespectful. So,
Hmm.
yeah. And, oh goodness. And there was some other question about the idea of talking about burqas and hijabs um, in the context of just, I guess, wearing veils in general. Somehow it came up in discussion, but I guess the public felt it was not addressed in the right
Mm-hmm.
manner. So these
Hmm.
are just some of the two things that made people concerned. And now they're talking about this boycott. And Lorena, I don't know whether this boycott is because of, like what you said, is it a Twitter thing, or is it really something that everybody in India or in Asia is concerned with? Because I don't know if their influence, Twitter is kind of losing a little bit of that boycott influence, that
Mm-hmm.
cancel culture influence, but I don't know how it affects people overseas. I really don't know.
I don't either. And I'm going to look something up here really,
Yeah.
really quick
Yes.
because, okay. Okay. All right. Because I'm like, what does this
What
mean?
is
So
the boycott? It's the
apparently,
veil. Yeah.
I've seen this. I've
Yeah.
seen this fail before. Not very often, but I have seen it. So apparently, they are upset with him because oh gosh, and that's actually the older guy, the older gentleman actually. Amitabh questions the Hindu Gungahat. I hope, sorry if I said that wrong, in KBC, but fails to speak on the burqa and hijab. Okay.
Mhm.
I think it's like you in a way, it's like you question what's going on with the Hindu culture, but you're not questioning something that's going on in a Muslim culture, and that's kind of that whole thing between Hindus and Muslims. That's a very touchy, very touchy thing in India, from what I understand and from what I've been told. But I agree with you. I think a lot of this has to do with social media, because if we bring it back to the US, how much controversy has been started about films and television shows before they even come out? The problem starts with Twitter, and they just start feeding it in between Twitter, Instagram, you know, it seems to all come from social media. As a matter of fact, somebody had sent me a link to a press event that Ranbir Kapoor was at, and they were asking him about the controversy or something. I couldn't quite understand what they were saying, but they had asked him. They said, are you going to address what this is and apologize? And I'm like, apologize for what? Apparently, I think his I think his wife, because his wife's pregnant, and I think she was on Instagram and had a picture of her, and he had, I believe, y'all can correct me in the chat, in the comments, if I'm wrong. He had basically said something to the effect of someone's been, overindulging, kind of like a joke like that between husband and a wife. But
Of course.
it was on Instagram, I believe, and people just let him have it. How could you talk
Yeah,
about
they're
my
like, "Oh,
wife
your body
like
shaming your
that?
wife."
You're body shaming it off. It's just like, it's like, I love my wife. I love my wife, and it was, just a joke between us, but it was out in a public forum. And he's like, I can understand why some people would be upset, but he's just like, let's be clear. I love my wife.
Yeah, and something that's very interesting about that too is that when people get pregnant, when a woman gets pregnant, she will get bigger. and there's nothing wrong with that. And we do see that. We can see that. And if you're respectful to the person as he is, he loves his wife. He certainly doesn't feel anything bad about it. He's noticing changes in her. And I think she would be very upset if he didn't notice even the slightest difference. When you're in a relationship with someone, you hope that your partner notices certain things about you. So certainly, those watching the pregnancy, it's as exciting for him as it is for her. They are enjoying this. There is no animosity between the two of them, clearly.
No, there really isn't. So, they're talking about hashtag boycott BRAHMASTRA is trending on Twitter. Really? You know what? Let's test this out, shall we?
I can't see.
We're gonna test this out. Let's see. Okay. And you guys can let us know in the chat if this is Much Ado About Nothing, or is it really something? So, mocking Lord Shiva by holding Trishul in jeans and shirt. Now, I haven't heard anything like this from people who've been, commenting on the videos that we've done about the BRAHMASTRA trailer and the associated other videos. Most people are just like, yeah, that's Lord Shiva in the background, because we didn't know what that was. But I don't know. So there's that. Other one worked in Hindu hatred movie PK. Okay, so I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I'm not quite sure where that comes from.
Yeah.
Let's see. Amitabh finds Gungat regressive.
Okay,
I don't think that's anything to like boycott over that. That's his opinion. And he says, but fails to speak on the hijab and burqa. Okay, so again, that's probably his personal opinion. He doesn't want to
have an opinion on the others. He doesn't have to have that.
Exactly. So this it's interesting. It seems to start with social media and continue. So this is like, let's see. If you don't like me, don't watch me. I'm trying to go through here.
I think you and I both know that, this idea of the boycott, I understand what they're saying, but I think both you and I know that it's not going to be boycotted.
No.
people
are going to go see it. I mean, I guess they're kind of trying to say from this one that these films are so much more popular, which they are. I haven't seen Pushpa yet. We've seen KGF 1, 2.
Yeah.
and we've seen RRR. So yes. I have not seen anything trending a whole lot about
and you would have seen it, Lorraine.
This.
You would have seen it, because you and I are both looking for this stuff. We would have seen this stuff. I haven't. It's something that they're trying to start up, but honestly, I don't see it going anywhere.
No, I really don't. Some people probably have, good reason to say that they want, to boycott it, but it's, again, is it a boycott because something, there's something there, or is it a boycott because yet again it's another day on social media and people can get an audience?
And people boycott different things for different reasons. And I know that there was a movie that was boycotted in another country because it was made available in every other country but that one. And the people in that country were very upset, and they were like, oh, because you did this, we're not going to go see it. We'll wait till it comes on video. So, they're saying it's not fair to us that you would kind of restrict us from seeing the film. So there can be several reasons. It doesn't have to be something out of anger or, and I'm not going to go ahead and say I understand every single bit of that meme you're talking about. I just don't. I'm not going to boycott it. I can't wait to see the film.
No, I cannot wait to see it. I'm just trying to decide which day I'm going to see it and
Mhm.
exactly where I'm going to go see it, because I think I'm going to go see it in one of the big tourist centers here in Orlando. So it's going to be interesting seeing it where there's a lot of tourists. There's also a big Indian population in Orlando. It's been that way for like decades. Surprise, surprise to some people. I'm like, yeah, we've had Indian immigrants to this country for quite a long time. So there's a big community here as well. So it's going to be interesting seeing the kind of mix that is going to be in the theaters. When I finally see that. So hopefully, I will be able to vlog that experience, because some of you have been saying or asking in the comments, "Are you going to go see it? You should vlog if you go and see it." So I'm like, okay, maybe I just might do that. Well, folks, that's gonna wrap it up for this edition of the Toxic Male Appreciation Show. Do you have any last thoughts to give us before we wrap up?
Just so excited to see these two actors together. And I think we're going to see so many more films from the two of them. Hopefully, he's in 2 and 3, which I imagine he probably will be. I don't
Mm,
know, but if the character's still around, perhaps he will be in the next 2 films. I think that we really are getting quite a treat with this film coming out next week on September 9th, Lorena, or 8th.
hmm
I guess the 8th.
It is it's a previews that are on the 8th. So I'm trying to see if I can see it on the 8th. I'm not quite sure, but definitely by the 9th.
Yes. So this is going to be, I have a feeling, a movie that's going to take people by surprise. They're going to be blown away by it. I
Hmm.
think like how Critical Drinker was blown away by RRR guys. If you watch Critical Drinkers reviews, I think Critical Drinker would be blown away. I haven't seen the film yet, but I think he would be blown away by BRAHMASTRA Part One. Let's see what he says when he sees that film. But
Hmm.
seriously, the production value on this is so beautiful. It's certainly worth a look.
Yes, and it looks like it's been, well planned out. You know, um, Ayan Mukherjee, who is the director, I mean, he's been working on this story for 10 years. And finally, the technology has been able to marry up with the story. And, he's very passionate about it, which, makes me want to see it. Everyone I've shown this trailer to for Brahmastra is like, wow, they're literally blown away when they see it. So I am hoping that this movie goes over extremely well. Remember, it's the first out of three. So yeah, looking forward to seeing it and looking forward to seeing more from these two Indian actors. So now you know who they are. So please do go and just go look at the films that they've done and that they worked on, So Raj Kapoor and Amitabh, oh God, why am I blanking on his last name? I'm so
Bachchan.
Bachchan, yes. Go check out their bodies of work. So be a fun time. Absolutely fun time. All right, folks, thank you so very much for hanging out with us. Please do subscribe to of Positive Fandom here on Twitch and especially on YouTube. Watch her videos because we are trying to get her monetized. She deserves to be monetized. She gives you so much great entertainment,
Thank you.
especially the Sunday brunch show. I love sitting
Thank you, Nadia. Thank
on
you.
Sunday brunch show. It's so much fun to watch. So
Thank
please do go ahead and subscribe to her. And folks, we will see you next time. You may all stay toxic out there, right?
you.
And we'll talk soon. Bye.